There's something hiding in plain sight in Riga, Latvia. You might think you're walking through just another quiet European city, but look up and suddenly buildings start staring back at you. No, really. Faces carved in stone, sphinxes perched above balconies, and floral vibes frozen in stucco. It feels like the city walls themselves are alive. Here is a secret. Riga has the highest concentration of Art Nouveau architecture in the entire world. And once you see it, you'll never look at the buildings the same way again. Riga isn't just Latvia's capital. It's a city of 630,000 residents, a hub where the Daugava River meets the Baltic Sea. And tucked inside its city center is something UNESCO simply couldn't ignore. In 1997, UNESCO declared Riga's historic center a World Heritage Site, highlighting not only its medieval old town, but also its dazzling Art Nouveau district. Around 40% of central Riga's buildings, roughly 750 in total, are Art Nouveau. That's not just impressive, that's record-breaking. Paris, Vienna, Prague. Sorry, Riga beats them all in sheer density. Before we wander down Alberta Iela with our necks craned skywards, let's decode this style. Art Nouveau, which literally means new art in French, emerged around 1890 to 1910. It was a rebellion against boring classical repetition, columns, arches, and the same old formulas. Instead, it embraced organic curves, asymmetry, nature-inspired motifs, and yes, lots of dramatic faces and flowing lines. Think of it as the architectural version of someone saying, "I'm tired of geometry, let's make the walls dance." And Riga took this to heart. Between 1899 and 1914, the city experienced a construction boom that transformed it almost overnight. Why then? Because Riga was flush with money. It was part of the Russian Empire at that time, but its trade and banking sector exploded, fueling a new bourgeois class eager to show off its wealth. And how do rich people flex their money? Today it's sports cars. Back then it was buildings. Let's rewind to the turn of the 20th century. In just 15 years, Riga's population doubled, reaching over 500,000 by 1914. It was one of the fastest growing cities in Northern Europe. Landlords saw an opportunity. Middle-class families needed apartments, and investors wanted prestige. Cue the architects. One name you'll hear over and over in Riga is Mikhail Eisenstein. If that surname sounds familiar, it's because his son Sergei Eisenstein would go on to become a legendary Soviet filmmaker. But Dad was the one who left his mark on Riga, designing some of the most iconic Art Nouveau facades. His buildings on Alberta Iela and Elizabetas Iela are practically an outdoor museum. Lion heads, peacocks, women's faces with flowing hairs, even mythological creatures. Walking there feels like stepping into a fantasy novel, half fairy tale, half fever dream. Here is the fun part. Riga doesn't just have one kind of Art Nouveau. It has 4 distinct sub-styles. Let's break them down. The first is eclectic or decorative Art Nouveau. This is Eisenstein's playground, buildings overloaded with detail, faces, flowers, and animals. Imagine a cake with too much icing, but in the best way. The second is perpendicular Art Nouveau, a shift toward verticality with more restrained decoration. Here, form starts balancing function, with facades dominated by strong lines. The third is National Romantic Art Nouveau, uniquely Baltic, inspired by Latvian folklore, traditional motifs, and local materials like granite and wood. Less French elegance, but Nordic soul. And finally, the fourth and last is neoclassical Art Nouveau, the late phase where architects circled back to classical symmetry but kept subtle Art Nouveau ornamentation. Think, a compromise between tradition and rebellion. And yes, you can spot all 4 just by strolling through central Riga. Few cities offer that kind of stylistic buffet. So how does all this connect to urban planning? Well, Riga's Art Nouveau boom wasn't random. It followed a major urban expansion plan in 1860s to 1880s when the old medieval fortifications were demolished, making room for wide boulevards and new neighborhoods. By the 1900s, the city expanded around a ring of boulevards, much like Vienna's Ringstrasse, framing the old town. Developers filled this new canvas with multi-story apartment blocks, each around 5 to 6 stories high. The result? A dense but walkable urban form, perfect for mixing residential, commercial, and cultural functions. Art Nouveau wasn't just decoration, it was part of Riga's strategy to modernize and look like a true European metropolis. Today, those neighborhoods still house shops, cafes, offices, and apartments, showing how flexible and enduring this design was. Let's pause for a story. Picture yourself in 1905, walking down Alberta Street. The air smells faintly of coal smoke. Horses club past with carriages, but your eyes are fixed upward. Everywhere you look, faces carved into stone. Lions roaring above doorways. Balconies shaped like vines. These facades weren't just pretty. They were like Instagram before Instagram. Landlords competed for attention, each trying to outdo the other. Who had the wildest sphinx? The most intimidating gargoyle? It was a visual arms race. And honestly, we are still the winners today. Fast forward to now, Alberta Ayala is a tourist hotspot, but it's also home to embassies, apartments, and even the Art Nouveau Museum. Walk inside and you'll see a restored 1903 apartment, complete with curved doorways, floral wallpapers, and furniture that looks like it's about to sprout leaves. Let's throw in some data. Riga has about 3,000 Art Nouveau buildings, with around 750 officially recognized in the Central District. That's about 1 in 3 buildings downtown. Compare that to Brussels, often hailed as the birthplace of Art Nouveau, which has fewer than 500 significant examples left. Riga wins by a lot. UNESCO didn't just list Riga for quantity though. They emphasized the integrity of the ensemble. Entire streets, not just isolated gems, preserved almost perfectly from 1899 to 1914. This makes Riga one of the best preserved urban showcases of the style worldwide. Now let's be honest, some of these facades are gorgeous and some are, well, slightly creepy. Stand under one of Einstein's houses and you might feel dozens of stone eyes glaring down at you. It's architectural paranoia, but that's part of the charm. Riga didn't do subtle Art Nouveau, it went full throttle. If Paris was about elegance, Riga was about making sure you remember that building forever. Mission accomplished. Beyond the tourist appeal, Riga's Art Nouveau raises important lessons for urban history and planning. These were multi-story apartment blocks, not suburban mansions, proving that urban density doesn't have to be dull. The national romantic style embedded Latvian motifs into architecture, giving identity to a city that was often under foreign rule. 100 plus years later, these buildings are still in use, an argument for investing in quality design rather than disposable architecture. In a way, Riga's Art Nouveau is early proof that you can merge functionality, culture, and aesthetics into a living, breathing cityscape. Of course, the story isn't all glamorous. World War I halted Riga's construction boom. Many architects fled or shifted careers. Under Soviet rule, maintenance lagged, and some Art Nouveau gems crumbled. By the 1980s, entire facades were decaying. But since Latvia's independence in 1991, there has been a renaissance. Restoration projects have polished up the facades, and international recognition has drawn both tourists and scholars. Today, Riga isn't just a footnote in Art Nouveau history, it's the capital of it. So next time someone asks you about Art Nouveau cities, skip the usual suspects like Paris or Brussels. Tell them about Riga, the city where 40% of downtown buildings swirl, curve, and stare at you with stone eyes. It's not just about architecture, it's theater in stone. A reminder that cities can be both functional and fantastical at the same time. And when you walk there, just remember to look up, because in Riga, the buildings are always watching.